All right, I'm here with Jay from the King of Kanto podcast. Jay, would you like to introduce yourself and your podcast and tell the audience a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, everybody. My name is Jay. I am one of three co hosts on the King of Kanto podcast. My co host, Nick, and my co host, Cam, are busy with family stuff right now. But I'm going to be here and talk to everybody and talk to Shea. So, King of Kanto podcast basically, the three of us, myself, Nick, and Cam, get together, drink a few strongs and we critique JVlogger content. And it's a lot of fun, and everybody loves us for it.
Oh, great! Yeah, that's a great elevator pitch there. No, no,
Yeah.
no. It's no. That's I mean that's exactly. I wish I had heard that. When I first saw you guys floating around the interwebs months ago. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like a just a fun hangout, really, of a podcast. The shitting on J vloggers is always a fun thing, I think. But yeah,
Well,
mm,
I'm going to say we critique
ah,
and we use evidence.
yeah,
Okay,
yep,
we do pick and choose
hmm,
clips from each of our nominees. Every episode we have a nominee to be the King of Kanto, which is akin to like a Razzie Award.
mm,
Um, yeah, so we have the nominee, we get some clips from them, we play the clips on the show, and we critique the content.
right,
And sometimes we're a little rough around the edges, admittedly, but it's three guys drinking strongs, having a good time.
yeah. That I mean, to be honest, that sounds like a lot of my first years in Japan. Just me and a couple
Yeah,
guys sitting around drinking strongs, shooting the shit. Talking about or shooting the shit and talking shit. So,
yeah.
yeah. But um, what kind of motivated you guys to get together and start this podcast? I mean, obviously you have a ripe um, you know fruits for content that you can there's so many um, J vloggers out there now these days.
Yeah.
But what how did you guys meet originally, and what motivated you guys just to get together and start the podcast?
Yeah, so all of us were fans of another podcast, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that there were other people in Tokyo who were fans of this American podcast.
Right.
So we all said, "Hey, all fans of this podcast, let's go to Commune in Commune 246 in Shibuya, and let's get a beer." So we all met up, and we're all fans of the show. We
Mm-hmm.
started talking. This is a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and we've been drinking buddies ever since, and we hang out and you know just regular friend stuff. And Nick and Cam and I were like, we're kind of tired of all this lame content about Japan. It's not totally accurate. People are painting a very rosy picture of this place when, there are some good things, there are some bad things. Mainly it's good here, but people are painting an improper picture or an inaccurate picture.
Right.
And then also there are people who, they have let's just say they have some issues and they think that moving to Japan will cure, their multiple personality disorder or whatever they have. So,
Right. Mm.
and we kind of didn't like that, and we said, let's look at these cringy content creators, and a la our favorite podcast,
Mm.
let's kind of do a voting system, and let's actually have our audience vote on like who is the king of Kanto.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how we got together, and we said, yeah, I think this is a concept for a show. And actually, it's amazing we even got started because we failed like three times in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
We all bought nice microphones, and then we all went to one of our houses, and it was like, the microphones were too good. They kept on picking each other up in the room.
Right. Oh, okay. So it's kind
So
of
like we
interfering with each other's audio, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
we screwed that up, and so that just turned into a cigars and drink night. And then we tried a couple other times, and it just wasn't working out.
Hmm.
And so we found a service where we each are in our own respective locations, and we dial in, and we have a recording studio, like an online recording studio, and
Okay.
that's how we've been able to do it. But it took like yeah, I think we finally got our first episode on the fourth try. So
Okay.
we
Okay.
we really were dedicated to making this work.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
fourth time's a charm, right? So.
Yeah, it wasn't our case.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's like I was saying last week with Radrey is that it's always nice to see other podcasts coming out of Japan.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
yeah, and they've really kind of started taking off here in just the last couple of years. You would think, with podcasting as popular as it is, that more of these wouldn't have popped up by now. But I think maybe you'll agree with this. A lot of the content coming out of Japan just mainly seems to be focused on JVlogging, and the
Yeah.
I guess we're still sort of outliers in the podcasting thing because, I mean, to be honest with you, I tried to dip my toe in the J vlogging thing a few years ago,
As
and
did I. Yeah.
yeah, and I felt gross trying to do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I guess my experience wasn't unique.
yeah,
Maybe because I'm not an English teacher. That my experience became unique, but or at least less common. But when I was doing it, I was like, I don't really have anything new or novel to add to the media that's out there already.
right.
So I quickly folded.
Hmm.
I was like, I'm not saying anything special. I'm not going to be a million subscriber channel, you know. So I said, okay, well, if there's no chance of me being successful at being a J vlogger, then like maybe I should just concentrate on doing my thing here,
Right.
and that's what I've done. But then this opportunity came up with my buddies,
Hmm.
and I said, okay, we have a podcast now, and we're not J vloggers. We don't have a J vlogging YouTube channel. It's a podcast hosting YouTube channel essentially, and our podcast is our podcast. We just it pops up once a week on Mondays. People listen to it throughout the week, and we have a nice little community going. We have like a nice small Patreon and a
Hmm.
Discord and all that stuff. So we've kind of built a community around the show, and
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool, and that it's like I said, it's always good to see that popping up, especially in this medium. I've maybe you can attest to this too. I've found a lot more enjoyment in this medium, than I ever did with trying to vlog something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, one of the things about J vlogging is like the people become their online persona. And when I'm not in front of this microphone,
right,
I'm me.
yeah,
I'm off doing my stuff.
yeah,
Like I have a life, that is not public. And then I come here and I'm Jay from the King of Kanto.
yeah,
And that gives me number one an excuse to have a weekly session with the bros, and to produce something creative once a week. But then once the microphone is off, once I sign out, I go back to my life.
right,
But J vloggers are, it's like, this is me, I'm always in Japan, or like, and we've criticized this a lot, is the people who are J vloggers, their personality is I live in Japan, not my name is Bob, I'm really into board games,
mm,
and I'm really good at Minecraft, and I do X, Y, and Z on the weekends. It's
right,
I live in Japan. And
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's not a personality. It's, you live in Japan. Yeah, cool. It's a geographic location.
right, right. That's I have seen some people. That it reminds me of like my friend Kevin. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you ever saw some of his older videos. He happened to just make like travel type videos within more the countryside of Japan. But
Oh,
his
okay.
his were more comical. Like it would be him and some friends going to like a hot spring or going to some temple or something. Something that's a lot of normal JVloggers do, but it was edited and in a way that was very comical. It was very unique, and it wasn't just like, hey, look at this stupid thing that I bought from Lawson, unless it was done tongue in cheek and it was played up as for laughs, and I thought that was a very unique twist on it, because it was making fun of the traditional JVlog while still being entertaining and actually showing some really cool places in Japan. He just happened to be a guy that lived in Japan making content,
Yeah. See, you have to have a hook. You have to have something interesting about you, because there's a sea of garbage, which is, of course, where I go to feed. That's the trough I'm at, right?
Right.
And my podcast co-host, right? So, I mean, like one of the crazy things is the number one JVlogger no longer makes videos. Okay,
Right.
Rachel and June, I think, have like, I don't know how many millions of followers. I think last time I checked, it was like 3 and change or something like that.
Wow, yeah.
And now I haven't looked at their channel recently, but I think it was like 3 or 4 months since they released a video. So like the people who are at the absolute top of their game, they're out of the algorithm. The
Right.
10 minutes video every day algorithm on YouTube. They just do what they want. They did it. They did the vending machine. They did the apartment tour, right? They did the walk in Shinjuku. They did it all. They did it all already 5 years ago. It's over, right? And now everybody is just kind of like repeating their content. So even like the top dog doesn't JVlog anymore.
Right.
So it's kind of like this weird thing that's happening, and you'll notice that like whoever the top dogs are now, like Chris Broad or Paolo, he just released a video today, but like they don't release a video every day.
Right.
So and those guys release great content. So like
Yeah, like Chris Broad,
Yeah.
like I gotta give the guy props. Like he put production value into his work, and he made it work for him, and it's awesome. He puts out some good stuff. So
yeah, but it's like weekly, bi-weekly, once a month. It's not constant barrage of shit. It's well thought out, produced, if I could use that word, and edited very well.
right.
So you actually put some effort into their content, and it makes it great. And most other people are just put a camera on their shoulder and go walking a kabukicho or Shibuya crossing or vending machine aisles or whatever.
Right. And see that, I think when it comes to now with JVlogging, that online streaming has done them a lot of favors, because they don't have to have editing skills or anything like that. They can just flip on the camera and live stream, and
Right.
it does all the work for them. And that's it's kind of good and bad. I think live streaming is a good tool to use, but for them, it's just become a quick way to get out their content without actually having to put any effort into making it look nicer than what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the production value, and I think that's what distinguishes the top people from the crowd.
Yes.
I think we've only covered like 2 people who live stream on our podcast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously the quality just isn't there. And I can understand if I was like a weeb in America and I'm like, oh, Japan is so great. It's this magical land of Godzilla and Bushido warriors and all that. And I can just tune into a live streamer who's walking in Shibuya or who's, whatever, looking at Mount Fuji. You're like, oh, mystical, awesome. But like somebody who lives here, I'm kind of like, all right, enough already. I've been to that street 100 times.
Right. Right.
It's just a street.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like a lot of of course, the people who live here, especially who have lived here quite a while, I think that's why maybe we get so annoyed at it, is because it's normal to us, but some teenager, some high school kid living in America or Australia or something who's never left their country, gets this kind of fantasized, idealized vision of what Japan is by these JVloggers,
Right.
and it just kind of perpetuates this, I guess, like a cycle, like and maybe you'd agree with this, is the cycle just keeps churning out the it keeps getting worse and worse, like at least what I've noticed over the years is the people who watched the content from 10 years ago came here and put out content, and then people who watched their content came here and put out content, and it just seems to be like the dribbling down the leg after you, like,
I
shit
think we're in
yourself.
like the second generation of that, maybe even the
Yeah.
third.
Mm,
Because
mm,
I think YouTube's heyday for J vlogging anyway was probably like between 2013 and 2015.
right.
You had a lot of like, that's when, like I was talking about Rachel and June, because
Mm-hmm.
that's like when everybody first got here and they were putting out good stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was like a lot of not so good stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like the old guard is kind of semi-retired,
Mm-hmm.
and all the people are coming in and making the same stuff over and over and over.
Right.
And some people are really cringy. And that's what we decided to to aim our have our sights on, to aim at,
Right. Right.
because there's a lot of that. And obviously, we're nominating individuals and actually groups now, even as of our last episode. So it's just like we kind of take like the funny things, the cringy things of expat Japanese life,
Mm.
and we let people know about it. And actually, I do think we serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And you kind of need a countermeasure to all the fluff that's out there, because you'll have I always rag on Kelly Marita, so I'm trying to think of a different example. But you'll have like Charla or Michaela or Kelly or somebody else, and they'll just be like, Japan is so great, and
Right.
everything is excellent, and there's never a rainy day. And then we come along and go, hey, things are good. We're not saying it's not good,
Right.
but also realistically, you should know this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of like 22, 23-year-old kids, and I say kids because I'm 38 now, so I'm an old man. But
Well, yeah,
I
we're
came
both
here
pushing that,
yeah,
so.
we're both pushing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that big 4-0 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I came here later in life. I had already been in the workforce, for a long time, so I have business experience. I have, in my field, I'm fine. But you get a 22-year-old kid, 23-year-old kid, they fly here, they got no money, no experience, no sense, because they think that this place is just full of big chested anime waifus and Godzilla and all this stuff. And
Right.
for the first 6 months it is, and then it becomes just, it's another large city.
It's another large, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of me, minus the anime stuff. I was never really into that. But I came here right after university, right out of college, 23. I've told this story a lot, but I just came here originally just for like a year, just to see what it was like. And I went back, and I was like, man, I kind of just missed being there. It wasn't necessarily that I felt like I hadn't finished whatever business I had here, right? And
Sure.
yeah, and I just enjoyed living in Japan. It was a comfortable place to live, and it just had a lot to offer. Especially I never lived in a big city like Tokyo. I was always in the smaller cities, or even some people consider countryside. But I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the fact that I had all this cool stuff to explore, and it's but when you come here quite young, the rose-colored glasses are very, very thick at that age, and
Yes.
the thicker
Yes.
they are, the more jaded they become quickly. And I went through some ups and downs while I was here, but the older you get, it levels out, and you kind of look at it very realistically.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that takes, you can't, for some reason, you can't tell anybody that. It's just
Mm.
something that they have to experience themselves.
Yes.
And, I'm very pro Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Obviously, there's a reason I came here
Yes.
and I've gotten settled in my life here. So it's not all negative, but I think the burnout rate for people like in your situation, 22, 23 show
Mm.
up
Mm.
and, they go through the Eikaiwa system. I think the burnout rate is like 90%. There are very few people who in that situation escape, into like a different job,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think the Eikaiwa system actually really does a disservice to foreign people who wish to come here. The pay isn't very high. A lot of the companies do kind of shifty things on the side that maybe you don't understand.
Mm.
And, it kind of takes like an older person, a more experienced person to look an employer or former employer in the eye and be like, hey, man, you're not doing this correctly. And I know the agencies to talk to if you don't, pay me my last paycheck or send me the documents you're supposed to send for my new employer,
Right.
that kind of stuff, right? And at 22, 23 years old, you're not going to do that. And it's not that you're not a brave person. It's not that you're not a smart person. It's just that you lack the experience to do it. And it is kind of daunting, but you have to have those experiences in life. And then when you come to a place where, let's face it, the system is not set up to support foreign people here. Like
Right.
it's a gift.
Mm.
The Japanese government says, hey, we're allowing you to live here. It's a privilege to live here. So if you don't like it, there's always a seat on and a flight back to your home country.
Yeah.
And that's basically the attitude that I was told to expect before I arrived. And I said, okay, I know what the playing field is. I'm strong enough to survive in it, and I have. But I can understand why somebody in their lower, younger 20s would not. So, I mean, I always give the advice, hey, if you want to come here for a year, like, do it for a year and then go home. And then after a while, if you go, hey, you know what, I actually really do want to give it a go in like a different field or,
Mm-hmm.
or I actually do prefer English teaching over, what I'm doing now in my home country, then yeah, make the informed decision to actually permanently resettle.
Yes.
That's otherwise, like my advice is, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, you can cut me off anytime, but my advice is, save up like $5,000
Mm-hmm.
and do like a full tourist visa stay, like stay 90 days, enjoy the time here. Don't work, just stay 90 days, spend your money, go to the izakaya with your bros, live in a share house real cheap and meet people from all over the world, stay in Kanto 1 month, go to Kansai the next, and, just really just check it out. And then you get to go home 90 days later and you go, man, that was such a wonderful experience. And you
Yeah.
look back on Japan fondly.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is people get burned out and they go, wow, Japan sucks. That was a miserable experience. And like, I don't want people to think that, because
Yeah.
for the right level of experience, this place is great. But you kind of came too early.
Yeah. Yeah. I always just say it is what you make it. Like
Yeah.
I've seen there's two kinds of long-term expats in Japan. People who just drift and don't go anywhere, and they'll end up being in the Eikaiwa ALT field well into their 40s, 50s, sometimes 60s, and I wouldn't say all, but unless they've, started their own school, started their own business, all the ones that I've met just seem a little bit sad, and it's not really necessarily attacking them as a person. It's just maybe they felt that they missed their chance and they gave up, and
Yeah.
and this is something that they could do. you know, and
Yeah.
but then the other kind of long termer is either the ones, if they stay in English teaching, start their own school, start their own company, or you know like like many people, they get into a completely different field, and Japan
Yeah, yeah.
becomes much more, I would say, enjoyable, really, because of course life has its ups and downs, but you don't feel like you settled for something, or you're stuck somewhere, and that's
Yeah.
you see
When
those, you
I
see that a lot,
when I got my first job that was non-English teaching, before we started recording, I told you, I was teaching English for a very brief period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I got an interview and things went well, and they said, we're going to send you an offer. And, I got the advice, even if it's for the same salary, do it,
Right.
because you are now a foreigner who is not an English teacher in Japan.
Yes.
And and I didn't quite understand it at the time. I was like, hell no, man, I want more money, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I ended up, there was a range, and they offered me right in the middle, and I said, done. So, I would have taken the advice had the salary been exactly the same. And it was because, now I am like a salary man,
Mm-hmm.
a foreign person, but I'm a salary man at a company here. And that is a jump that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to make.
Right. Yeah.
So, of course, I was going to take it no matter what if I wanted to stay long term, which, at the time I did, and I currently still do.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it is what you make of it. And, you have to have goals. And just to get it more focused on like the podcast that my co-host and I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's one of the things that we chastise a lot, and that is that there are people and they don't have ambition.
Oh yeah.
They're just, they're in the same situation 5 years ago that they are today. They don't make any active or proactive steps to better their lives, and they keep on chasing that, that heroin, that I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be the number one YouTuber, JVlogger there is, and it just doesn't happen. People tune in, but not millions of people, because you're not doing anything like I said, the top dogs, right?
Yeah.
They actually produce something that people want to watch.
Right.
Just live streams where you're sitting in your living room all day, that doesn't cut it,
Right.
So
yeah, well, it's also a very niche market too. Not everyone's going to
but
be
you can take
drawn.
advantage of that.
That is very true. That is very true. If you know how to market that, right? But like you said, if you're just kind of sitting in your apartment live streaming all the time, then that's not really it's not really appealing to a huge audience, and
Yeah.
if you, like I said, if you know how to market that and make it appealing, that's a really big untapped market that you could appeal to, and
Yeah.
it's
I
just
think
how much ambition you put into it,
Yeah, I think our, at least this is just my take on it. Nick and Cam may have their own takes, but my take on it is number one, it's the lack of ambition, and number two, it's like their online the JVloggers online persona. Their online persona becomes their persona in everyday life. So like they're not two distinct entities; it's the same. Okay, like to name drop here, like there's the Tikyo Sams, the Totally Drews, the Charla in Japan. They are JVloggers. They are not their individual selves. They are their persona online. Okay,
Right.
Tokyo Lens. You could go on and on. But so I mean, to me, that's an issue, because when, like, for example, we criticize them, it's like you're attacking the person. And we're not. We're attacking and criticizing the content. The content that the people are putting out.
Yeah.
So people will say, well, you guys are haters. And honestly, there are some people who have done us wrong. We got canceled. We got some nasty voicemails, and the whole situation with Radrey. Like, I don't hate anybody.
Okay.
There are people I like, less than other people. That's for sure.
That's natural. Yeah.
You know, but anybody we criticize, we have a very important rule because, like, we want to be fair.
Right.
I want to be fair. Nick wants to be fair. Cam wants to be fair. Anybody we've done a nomination on, okay? Anybody we've nominated, we say you can come on the show and talk to us, right?
Yeah.
Or you can send us an audio clip, and I will play it unaltered. So you could call us every name from A to Z. And if you want me to play it on the show, I will play it on the show. And I made that offer every time I have the opportunity. And we just recorded episode 30 on Thursday.
Yeah.
But, out of all 29 episodes, only 2 people took us up on that. It's actually quite amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the offer stands. Like the first guy we did, Ryan Boundless. Ryan, if you're listening to this, you have the opportunity. We can have a conversation. We can play whatever you want. Like we're not haters, because I don't want to criticize somebody. And if I get something wrong, it's important that the record does get set straight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're offering them a chance to correct any wrongs that may have been said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Ryan Boundless. So sometimes, yeah, there's a lot of cringe content out there in the JVlogging universe, but sometimes you watch it just to see how bad the train wreck will get. And
yeah, we got a couple of those.
His was a channel that I followed. He was a bit depressing when he was in Japan, so I stopped listening. I stopped watching his videos. But I did do a response to one of his videos at one point. Yeah, and it actually got quite a few hits before I deleted all that content. But I was like, I didn't like causing or getting in the middle of YouTube drama. So anyway, once he started like going to different countries outside of Japan, like living in Thailand, and now he's like in Africa and stuff, I was like, man, this is...
Yeah, he's on his second country in Africa, last I checked.
Right, yeah. So I don't watch it religiously, but man, it's interesting to see, he might be an ass, but like that is something a little bit different than what he used to do. But
right.
But it's just I bring this up. I've mentioned this guy before, and this was such a sad case. He never lived in Japan. I don't even think he visited Japan. He may have, but he was
Ryan?
No, a different guy.
Okay.
That's a similar train wreck story, but ended very badly for him.
Okay.
There was a guy who lived in Cambodia, who did some vlogging in Cambodia, and he got it really into, like, he was an English teacher there, and then he stopped doing that and started doing like personal training, because he was like a Muay Thai, he was into Muay Thai and all that, and he started getting into drugs, and he was like contemplating suicide, and like he was doing videos where he had like this huge gash on his face for like a suicide attempt, and like it's like, fuck you, it's like you don't want to see this go wrong, but you can't stop watching the videos that keep coming up just to see how fucked up it's going to get, right? And he eventually got deported from Cambodia, and he was in the US for a bit, and he moved to Mexico, and he somehow died down in Mexico. So it was
that's too bad.
It ended quite badly for him. And before he passed, I'd actually was interested in talking to him. I invited him to be a guest on this podcast just to see what his crazy life was like, and he sadly passed before he could get a chance to come on. So yeah. But
well, I think, I don't know about this individual. It sounds like it ended very tragically, but based on the research we did on Ryan, and now this is our first episode, it's a very rough episode.
Right.
But Ryan is a very interesting case. He seemed to be like one of those guys like, oh, here is not where I want to be. And he left. And I know he was in Thailand. He was here for a long time. And he had some sort of like semi-normal life. He had a girlfriend for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, like I think like on the verge of engagement basically, and then like he just left, and he was in Mexico for a bit, and then he was in Africa for two different countries, um and you know he filmed a porno while he was here,
He did,
and
yeah.
yeah, and you know
Yeah.
it's just like I'm like, who is this man?
Mm.
And you know he starts filming these like weird like after he had you know relations with a local girl in Africa,
Mm.
telling her, "Oh yeah, do you feel satisfied?" And that, he puts that on the internet,
Right,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
he immediately says, "If you pay me money, I'll tell you how to be a baller or like a pickup artist." And I was like, I mean, is this guy for real? Like
Yeah,
he seems like a caricature of like some sort of like weird anti-hero, and but
yeah.
he's a real person. But
He's a
yeah,
real
I
person. Yeah.
the thing is he wants to get away, but the thing is you can't get away from yourself.
It, yes,
So I think there's some
exactly.
self-reflection in
Hmm.
Ryan's case that he seriously needs to do and has needed to do probably for 20 years.
Mm.
So I don't know what the story is of him, but like just the things. I mean, imagine this. I mean, Shea. I mean, you're recording this,
Yep.
and then you're gonna spend some time. I'm sure editing and making sure it looks good before you release it out into the world. Right?
Yes.
It's a whole process.
Hmm.
He does this. Okay. He he films what he films.
He films what he
He
films. Yeah.
edits it. He makes it look good. He has a little music. Does a little jump cut here, you know, and then like there's a part of his mind that skips over the part that like, hey man, this is probably really not what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like you don't want this out there,
Yeah.
and he publishes it for the world to see, and it's like, dude, are you out of your mind? You know.
He may.
So
He might be. You know, like.
he
Yeah.
very well could be, but there are professionals that can help with that.
That's true.
Like, just go talk to somebody.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know?
No. Yeah. It's. That's like. There's a lot of that stuff on YouTube though. Not just out of Japan. You know. There's a lot
Oh,
of. There's a lot of the.
hiding in my room.
Oh God. Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah.
That
That's.
guy.
Mm.
I don't know.
You did one on him,
I don't
right?
know what's going on there, but yeah, he was episode 3.
Okay.
Yep, we did
Yeah.
Daniel. And you know, specifically, we want to talk about JVloggers, and he
Yeah.
lived in Japan for 2, 3 years, maybe even longer. I don't know. He's
Mm.
not here now.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of
But
fell off of that one too. It just got too
yeah,
weird
it's
for me.
okay.
So.
Yeah, he is just getting weirder and weirder and weirder as time goes on, and it's so weird. Like we actually had the discussion. Hey, is this just an act?
Yeah.
But then we're like, nah, it's too consistent, and he's never like been caught like lying or, you know, for it to not be an act, you know. So I
Yeah.
was like, I think this is him, you know. So yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to criticize, you know, cringe content. There's a lot there to analyze and critique and criticize. I mean, because he's been doing it for years and years and years.
Oh yeah. Hmm. There was yeah, he was an interesting case. There was a girl. She might still make videos, but she was a female J vlogger that
Mhm.
um uh, have you heard the name Canada Jean at all? Do you know that one?
Well, she canceled me. Yeah, she
Oh,
got one of
oh.
my episodes pulled.
Oh shit.
Um,
Okay, so you know that whole saga from years ago, what she was doing, right? Yeah.
yeah, we actually found some extra information about that too. Somebody who knew Canada Gin called us,
Mm-hmm.
well, sent me a message and said, "Hey, you guys want some inside baseball on that?" I was her friend during that time frame, and I was like, yes, please." So that's a Patreon exclusive. So
Okay.
pay me $5, you can listen to it.
Okay. That is, yeah. I mean, I mean, that's cool that you guys you put some exclusive content out there because you know, like the really juicy ones, you know, that you gotta.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying
make
to
it
capitalize
exclusive.
on
Yeah,
on what we can. And the funny thing is, like with Canada Gin, a lot of people just ignored us, right? And honestly, like this is my advice to people: just ignore us. As
Yeah.
the moment you respond, like it's more views for us. And the thing is, Canada Gin messaged me after it was episode 9, our 9th episode.
Mm-hmm.
She messaged me, and I said, Mira, because that's her name.
Yeah.
I said, Mira, and that's not a dox or anything. That it's out there.
She's put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, Mira, like, I know you don't like us, showing your face in the thumbnail. I said, but honestly, I said, I'm not going to change it. I think, according to the U.S. law, like of fair use, we modified these publicly available images. And so I would argue that we're fine in terms of legality of using these. However, I said, the thing I want you to understand is like, if you make a mess out of this, I said, it's just going to have more eyes on this situation.
Right.
And I freaking told her that.
Streisand Effect.
Exactly. It's the Streisand Effect.
Yeah.
She still went nuts. And we were with a German company called SoundCloud, and they have very weird laws. And she got her episode.
I used them actually, so.
Oh yeah, dude, switch. Yeah. Or there are other things you can do. You can, so there's nobody to complain to, which is what we ended up doing. But yeah, so Nick and I actually went out to get some drinks, and log in, check and see how the episodes are, are downloading and all that stuff, and it's gone.
Oh,
there's no warning. There's no message. There's no like, hey, by the way, a complaint was filed. It was just gone, and it took us like 6 days to figure out what happened. Like I had to do the equivalent of a help desk ticket with SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, somebody complained that you used their picture, and according to German law, you're never allowed to do anything at all ever. So I was like, okay.
Damn.
So I was like, cool. So we disassociated with SoundCloud, sorted our thing out, and re-uploaded the episode. Okay. And that is one of our most popular episodes ever. And it was only because she decided to cause a shitstorm about it.
Right.
I mean, and Shea, I'm not talking like, like 10 extra people. I'm talking it tripled the amount of people that were listening to us.
Controversy sells, so
yeah. Like I love this group called West Side Connection. I don't know if you ever heard of them. I'm not a big gangster rap guy, but like I love these guys. And they said, I can't remember all the lyrics of the song. I'll paraphrase, but it was like, he's like, yeah, we'll beat you up in the club because we know bad publicity will sell another CD. Yeah. And it's the truth, like even if we're wrong, even if we're dead wrong in what we did, the fact that there was drama surrounding it causes more people to turn their heads and go, whoa, what's going on over here?
I think that's what the last president of the United States took advantage of too.
My boy Trump, man. Yeah. Oh, love it.
Yeah,
I'm the Trump guy. The other guys don't like Trump as much as me, but
gotcha.
or at all.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll let them speak to themselves. But
man, I mean, he knew how to take advantage of it though. Like I think I was actually speaking with Radrey about this point. Is there's I think he would create controversy around himself to detract from something that could be more damning. So
I'm going to say one word to you. I'm going to say one word to you, Shea.
Kofefe, yeah.
And people are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, he's a master manipulator. He misspells coffee. And, then he gets to do whatever he's doing while the media is looking at his Twitter feed. I was like, the man's a genius.
Yeah. And
genius.
to be honest with you, I'm actually kind of surprised it took them that long to ban him from Twitter. I mean, nothing.
Twitter is it's a left-leaning platform.
Yep.
And they're like, we totally believe in free speech unless anybody is ever offended at any time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your God-given rights under the Constitution don't exist.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot to say about that, but we don't have to go into like my right-wing political ideology. We want people to stay tuned in.
Yeah, no worries. No, I don't want to alienate any. I say what I want on here though. Like I've had people from all over the board on my podcast, so I honestly don't care. So
one of my favorite podcasts. It's like one communist and one liberal and one socialist, but they're not social justice warriors.
Okay.
So they're like actually kind of cool to listen to.
Yeah.
I won't plug them or anything. I won't, say their name here, but it's an interesting podcast because I'm like, actually there are some things I agree with them on.
Yeah.
Economically, no,
right.
But
well, it's like
they say interesting things.
Yeah. Well, it's like that comedian. Have you heard of Jimmy Dore at all?
Yes, I think I have.
Yeah. So I think he used to be part of the Young Turks network, but he kind of branched off on his own. He's a self-admitted, I think he supported Bernie Sanders for both
Okay.
elections, right? But he is he is really vocal in his podcast and his YouTube channel and everything, vocal against the establishment left and the Clintons and all this, these like mainstream, and like he just goes after him, and a lot of left Twitter and online people just go after him, saying he's a Trump supporter. He's like, no, I'm not. I just call out bullshit on when I see it, So
Yeah, and
he's
I
an
mean,
interesting guy to listen to,
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, there are, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but you know, uh, being an American isn't like an ethnicity.
Yeah.
It's not a religion. It's like agreeing to a very basic set of ideals, and you could go into the life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, or your right to free speech. Like there's very, as long as you believe in those ideals, like you can consider yourself an American. Not by law, but like there's a certain set of rules that govern American society.
Yeah.
And I feel at this point in time that um, there are people on the left and there are people on the right who do believe, hey, you know what? Like we have different outlooks on how society should be run, and how the economic system should be used or should be organized, and that's all fine. At the end of the day, we don't have to agree on everything, but there is like that social justice warrior group. It's, you need to think this way, or it's okay for us to call your boss,
Ruin you.
get you
Yeah.
fired, burn your house down, punch you in the street. And these are things that are, I think most people, like 90% of people, would say, hey man, that's not acceptable. Like,
Right.
like would I punch a communist? No.
No.
Would a communist punch me? No. Would a social justice warrior? Absolutely, on
Right.
site.
Right.
So it's more of like it's like this new age like warrior mentality, where it's like you shouldn't be fighting your fellow countrymen. You should be working together to make things better in general.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. And I've always been, maybe I've changed. I seem to think that I've not changed at all in terms of my belief in that regard since I was young. But I was, in high school, I was, I think it was right when like George Bush was becoming president, and 9/11 and Iraq War. I was against all that, and I was always from a small rural town in Texas. I was kind of an outsider, but I've kept
Yeah.
that same attitude, and now it just seems that I'm on the other side of the aisle in a lot of cases, because the mentality seems to have really flipped. Like some, like the social justice people are, to me, almost seem just as, they want to censor, they want to control thought, just like like hardcore Christian conservatives used to do back in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? Like it's
Well, I mean, and to an extent today even as well. But that's wrong. It's wrong on both sides.
I agree.
Like, we should, there should be a discussion. But the thing is, like, what people have to understand, both sides of the aisle, left, right, up, down,
Yep.
okay, is that sometimes there's not going to be a resolution, okay? Like, there are going to be people who they want socialized medicine, and there are going to be people who don't want socialized medicine, and you're just going to disagree.
Yep.
There's not going to be a resolution to it. Like, it doesn't matter how many people you punch. It doesn't matter how many city blocks you destroy. It doesn't matter how many bullets you shoot out of your gun. Like, there's just not going to be a resolution to it. Like, there's just going to be the debate, and then that's it.
Right.
There's not going to be, okay, I won and you lost, or I lost and you won. It's just going to be there, something that's in the ether that will never be resolved.
Right.
Okay. And even when it gets instituted, there's still going to be the debate. It's never really going to be resolved.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, man. Like, there are things worth fighting for, but no, man. I mean, we're gonna have, this guy's gonna be president, then that guy's gonna be president. And,
Mm-hmm.
this prime minister's going on doing his thing now, and then the next one's gonna do the other thing. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's a continuation of a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's really no sense in literally beating people up over it.
Right. Yeah. There's a difference between, respectfully disagreeing and here's why, and if you want to talk about it, we can, and just shutting someone down and saying you're wrong, and I'm gonna punch you in the face for it. So that never, it never really solves anything other than just pissing people off even more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you on that point.
Yeah. Circling back to the controversy creates, brings the eyes, like
Yeah.
the mirror thing. That's sort of just it's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to listen to that one because I knew about the stuff from a few years ago. Like
Yep.
her creating like the sock puppet accounts and all that stuff, right? But then, like, didn't she like become a Muslim, and like this is,
Yep.
it was like all these things started
I guess
taking
the terminology
a weird,
is she reverted to Islam.
Okay.
I mean, that's the preferred terminology.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually followed her, and then, yeah. Let me put it this way. So our episode is basically we didn't criticize her for the reversion.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Of course not, yeah.
there's only one person that can tell you how to live your life,
Yes.
and that's you.
Yep.
Okay, so no matter what anybody says, you have to make those decisions that bring about the best outcome for you. Okay, and what we criticized was her over the top responses to people. Like the whole sock puppet controversy we went over. There was a man she really liked who was not interested in her. And, there were a couple, she wore blackface. And I'm not just talking like once. I mean, she painted her arms and her legs and had a wig and did blackface. And she went around for like a week doing that. So, I mean, these are things that, very bland, I'm just going to say, are not acceptable in a polite society. Okay.
Right.
And so now you get the three of us drinking some strongs and we're going to say, what the hell is this lady thinking? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things we criticized, not the reversion. But I think the conclusion that we came to was she is somebody who deeply wants to be part of a group. And, all the way back, she used to have a channel called Rainbow Rants, where she was a raver chick. And, she had like pro LGBT messages and, rainbow colored hair dyed all different colors. And then she came to Japan and wanted to be a housewife in Japan. And now she has adopted another identity.
Right.
And, that's fine. You're like I said, like live the way you want to live. But, she made some really cringy content along the way, which we criticized. And I mean, she didn't come after, to her credit, she didn't come after us for what we said about her cringy content. She criticized us. She came after us because we showed her without her veil, which so like I understand, from her identity now not wanting that. But if you just type in Canada Gin with a K, and on Google image search, there's thousands of pictures of her.
I mean, does she still have thumbnails from, or has she deleted like older?
So she deleted like all of her. I'm not going to say all, but like she deleted most of her content or privated it, whatever. And if she does have a video of her with like her face visible, she blurred it.
Okay.
So so she's adhering to the tenets of her faith. I think it's kind of strict, but I don't know what the rules are exactly. Right. I do know that you're supposed to wear. I think it's a niqab is the head to toe one that she wears. So, yeah, I mean, like, look, if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do. From a legal standpoint, I think we were fine.
Right.
And eventually we did get the episode re-uploaded.
Hmm.
We had our first emergency podcast that we released. It's like 16 minutes long. It's Cam and I going, this happened. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it all got sorted out in the end.
Hmm.
And she, yeah, I mean, I got a wall of texts from her. And yeah, I mean, I actually have to thank her because number one, our viewership tripled. And number two, it made me learn how to avoid that situation in the future.
Yeah.
So now, if there's ever anybody that wants to come after us, there literally is not an email address or a report button to click. So
Okay.
I said, okay, I did my research. I was like, all right, yeah, we can do this, guys. And
So did you guys?
I don't disclose what I do, what I did,
Okay.
because I just don't want people to know how we pulled it off.
Yeah.
Because then people are gonna get into, okay, how did they do it? How do we counter it? And
Yeah.
so like
Okay. Okay.
issue settled. I'm happy
So
with the outcome.
so you nipped the next question in the bud. Then maybe discussion for another time because.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I did afterwards.
Okay, sure,
but
sure.
after we're not recording. But
Yeah.
yeah, we set it up so that we're good to go.
So my biggest fear, like you said, you were on SoundCloud and then they nuked that episode, right? Like my whole RSS feed is on there. Like I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's any services to let you transfer an RSS feed over or not, and that's a big thing for me because I'd have to re-upload all the episodes again and start from scratch if something like that happened. I guess that's the bad thing about being at the whim of some of these companies.
Yeah, let's talk after the recording.
Sure,
I'll
sure.
give you some household hints for your RSS feed.
That will be much appreciated. Thank you. Because
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I haven't had an issue with SoundCloud yet, but there was rumors that they were going to go under at one point, and then
Yeah,
and
I think they got some. I think they got some capital to save them, like
Yeah.
somebody bought into the company.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting company, interesting laws in Germany, which I don't think are mirrored anywhere else in the European Union. So it was just like bad luck that it happened.
right,
I mean, the controversy was, we courted it and it came back at us. And then, I freaking told her, I said, look, this is just going to make us more popular. And the episode's going back up. And exactly what I said would happen happened.
yeah.
So,
And now
so
she has
Mira
to-
was our first controversy,
Okay. And you
our first real one.
Okay. What that then begs the question: what was the next one?
So the second one was Tikio Sam.
Okay.
So Sam, we actually wanted to get him on the show as like a guest host, and he kept on blowing us off and pulling us along. And so
Yep.
on our 19th episode, it was the nines for some reason. I hope 29 I don't think is going to be a problem, but because it's a group. But yeah, on the 19th episode, we said, the hell with it, we're going to do Sam. So we did Sam, and I've been in contact with him. I was talking to him, and yeah, basically he finally said, "Okay, guys, look, let me reply to your to your show." And we're
Critiques.
like, great,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And yeah, like I said, we offer the opportunity to everybody. So he came on. We had like a very long conversation, and after editing, it was still like an hour and 50 minutes or something like that.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But during that recording session, we said, "Hey, Sam, we're probably gonna, not, I don't remember the exact terminology. I use the exact phrase. I have it recorded and I played it in the following episode." But he said, I said, "We might use this as a Patreon exclusive," and his response was, "Oh, cool, man," just like that.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we made it a Patreon exclusive, because it was like a 2-hour episode.
Yeah.
It was recorded out of sequence. Usually we record on Thursday nights. It was recorded like on a Tuesday or something like that. And so I said, "Hey, this is a big deal. Sam's a big YouTuber. and we should put it behind the paywall and get some more Patreons, right? And we got like 3 or 4 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he complained after that. So even after we told him we were going to do it, or that we might do it, and then we did do it, he complained that, hey, that's not cool because now people can't hear my response. And so I kind of understood where he was coming from. We said our piece, and then his piece wasn't available to the world at large. So I said, okay. I said, but let's do a happy medium. I'm gonna give you a link in your Discord, and so it's still behind our Patreon paywall, but your fans in your Discord can listen to it for free. And I said, I think that's a happy medium, and he seemed like kind of happy with that.
Yeah.
But then like our relationship was strained a little bit, and there was he lives in a shared community there, so there was somebody who got on his Discord, and he and I got to a row, as the British would say, and everything was cool. He was actually egging on our little tit for tat.
Oh yeah,
in the
like
Discord.
Yeah.
And then what happened was Sam has a friend, Mark,
Yep.
who he was actually episode 17. He was arrested, falsely imprisoned on drug charges, and got out and everything.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool episode. Everybody should go listen to.
Yeah.
And Mark is an awesome guy.
That's an interesting story for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't want to go into too many details about Mark and Sam's relationship, but they were it was a little rocky for a little bit.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we wanted to do with Sam was we wanted to actually like meet him and like go to an izakaya, have a drink with him or whatever.
Right.
And he and Mark, because we knew Mark from our 17th episode.
Yeah.
So together we were like, hey, you know what? Like, and we're kind of private about our our picture being taken and that kind of stuff. So the 3 of us decided, hey, you know what? There's no chance Sam doesn't show up with a camera running.
Oh yeah.
He's the kind of guy that if there's a group of people, his camera's on, he's creating content, and that was one of the things we criticized him about in our 19th episode. So Sam quickly was we stopped updating him on where we wanted to go and all that stuff. We said it's better that he doesn't come up, because he's definitely going to, at least if he doesn't outright record us, he's going to covertly record us.
Right.
We just couldn't trust him based on like the amount of time that we knew him and the type of vlogging he does and all that stuff.
Yeah. And wanting to protect your identities,
Yeah, and wanting to protect our identities. So we just said, I don't doubt Mark. Mark seems like a genuine guy.
Yeah.
He's been put through the ringer. Let's just hang out with Mark.
Yep.
So that's what we did. We hung out with Mark, and then that guy that in Sam's Discord I was having a row with, he said something, and I was like, hey Mark, take a picture of this, and it was my middle finger. So Mark took a picture of my middle finger and said, well, that's Jay's response to you, or something like that. And so now Sam is like, oh, well, you were saying mean things to my friend, and that's why I kicked you out. But the truth is, we hung out with Mark without him.
Yeah.
And that's why he got a little butthurt there.
No,
and that's fine.
fine.
Yeah. So I tried to talk to Sam about it. He had like a 24-hour live stream. I tried to speak to him about it. But yeah, he wasn't having it, and I was like, okay, man, that's fine. He was like, well, if you apologize to so and so, I'll let you back in. And I said, Sam, and like in my upcoming episode, I say I don't hate Sam. I don't. I like his content. It's not content that's going to make him a Rachel and June or a Chris Abroad or one of the other big guys. But I basically said to him, I said, hey, look, man, I'm just going to close the arc. Like it's something that we're gonna close out, and that's going to be that. Yeah. And I don't want to go back into your Discord. It's fine. Yeah. So So we kind of left it at that. And like, I guess the door is always open because, like I said, I don't hate him. I don't mind him. You know, I genuinely, I like his motorcycle videos.
Yeah.
Every time there's a new one, I watch it, you know, so, you know, I'm, like I said, I'm not a hater, but you know, given everything that happened and like, he was a little disingenuous, about the getting kicked out of Discord. He said it was for one reason when I think it was really the other. So I said, you know, it's okay, man. Like if we're cool, we're cool. If not, like, that's fine too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like we've kind of moved on.
Well, I mean, yeah, the you know, life's too short to be hanging out. You know, what was it? Hanging on to perceived internet drama. You know, especially bringing it into real life. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this podcast is a hobby of ours.
Yeah.
You know, it's an excuse for us to get together, have some laughs, and you know, it draws attention. It does. I mean, obviously, people have heard of us, and you know, you've heard of us in the ether. Like, who are these clowns, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I must say, you know, now that I fully know what it's all about, it's you know, it's good. I think you guys are doing a good thing. It's entertainment, and at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment for who you are, you know, you three, as well as the people who want to listen to it. And you know, I've been very vocal about this for years. It's always good to show the more reality-based Japan to people, you know, and
Yeah.
and
I don't want you to get the wrong idea because I know you've only listened to like a little bit.
right.
Like we're a little rough. Like I get that, and I can understand why people are offended.
Yeah.
Okay, but like that's, I don't want to say shock jock, but like that's where you get attention. People are like, oh my God, did they say that? Or oh, they said this about this person, or oh, they finally called out this guy, and that's definitely part of the equation. I'm not going to say like, oh, we're like these intellectual Aristotle philosopher types, you know, doing logical arguments. There's a little bit of that, but mostly it's three drunk guys just having a good time on a Thursday night.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, so, I always enjoyed listening to, you know, programs like Opie and Anthony and, you know, things like that. So
absolutely.
You know, that's you know, that's its own sort of category. You know, like you can just sit back and enjoy it and not take a lot of the stuff too serious. You know, seriously. It's
so,
no.
We've been going for a bit, and like the whole reason I wanted to come on was to talk about what Radrey said.
yeah. So well, that's it.
So,
yeah, because if you want to clear something up, because he did mention you guys on the last podcast, and I would just like to hear your side of it as well.
Absolutely. So look, like Radrey, we love him. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. You know, we have been on his show. He has been on our show. But there seems to be a little friction, and I regret it. But it's not friction from us; it's friction from our prior nominees.
Okay.
So we did a couple things. So first, let me talk about Chris Okano.
Okay.
All right. So he was, I think he was our 22nd episode. So we were criticized by some of our nominees and by other members of the community of you know, guys, you're not doing enough research on these candidates, and therefore your information is inaccurate. So we're like, well, let's do an episode where we really do our research. So I went nuts. Now, broad strokes, I don't want to get into the minute details about Chris Okano, but basically I went over his history in Japan and his job history, and broad strokes on Chris. He's basically a trust fund kid, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, and I was clear to say that in the show. He's a trust fund kid, but rather than admit he's a trust fund kid, he pretends that he's some sort of genius, successful CEO. However, all of his endeavors ended in not only failure, but spectacular failure.
Wow, yeah.
And he's somebody who's like a real big clout chaser, like, oh, well, you have 20,000 followers, so I can't hang out with you, but you have 50,000 followers like me, so yeah, we can go, we can film a video together, you know, like a real, like the worst type of JVlogger, right? And So yeah, there was some drama with the Tokyo Creative situation, and um, yeah, so that ended in a massive failure. And then he's now engaged to a, I don't know if she's Instagram or YouTube, but or both or whatever. But anyway, so this lady has like 3 million followers,
Mm.
and I was sure to say this on the show. Like, I don't want to doubt his true love and affection for this woman,
Mm.
but based on everything we've researched and reviewed, probably the most attractive thing about her to him is the massive amount of followers she
Right.
has.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's important to him. And so, like, look, he's a trust funder. He can afford anything. He can do whatever he wants. Mom and dad are paying the bills for him, and that's great.
Right.
And I don't begrudge anybody their wealth. These are, I know trust funders from back in college, and they're doing their thing. But basically, that episode, I really dug in. Like, I had like dates and names and websites and his job history, and like, I mean, I really went balls to the wall on this one. The problem with that episode is it's not that funny, because I'm actually trying to get all the information into like an hour and 20-minute podcast.
Right.
And my co-hosts, all three of us, we all co-host the podcast. I'm going on, and they're trying to tell jokes inserted in there, and I'm like, yeah, that's funny, but this, and then so like it wasn't a great podcast. It was very well researched, which we were criticized for, so I wanted to address that criticism. Yep. And I don't think it was our best podcast. Well, it was okay, but the level of research that I did was overboard.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the charm of, sorry to interrupt, but from what I've heard and from what the previous episodes that you've mentioned, part of the charm is just you guys sitting around and not necessarily riffing off of it, but just sort of what you see is what you're commenting on, and then you actually bring in all this research, and it kind of throws off the vibe of the show. Am I wrong here in that?
I think there was a total vibe throw off. I think you're hitting it right on the head.
Yeah.
And then nobody complained, because everybody complained there wasn't enough research. So then when there was too much, people are like, that episode was a little different. It's like, this is what you guys asked for.
Yeah.
We delivered. And I think we should go back to our original format. You're right. So Radrey said, and then, the reason I wanted to come on and talk to you guys, to you, Shea, is Radrey said, well, rather than do research, they want to do misinformation. So I got to say, hold on, time out.
No.
Chigaoyo. It's not misinformation. Okay. Every claim we've ever made, we have backed up with evidence. Okay. We state an opinion, and we provide evidence, we provide a clip, and we riff off of it. And, we tell jokes, and we don't say it in the most polished, philosophical way about making a logical argument and all that. We're drinking strongs and being dudes just hanging out with each other. Yeah. So it's not gonna. I can understand people saying, "Well, I don't like the way you said it." Well, that's fine, but the point is, we did make a factual assertion, backed up by evidence, and if we're wrong, please, you have the opportunity to correct us. No problem, right? So, so when Radrey said misinformation, to me, that's kind of like saying, well, they're not telling the truth.
Right.
So I have to disagree with him there. And I don't say this out of animus or hate or anything like that. I mentioned to Radrey in his Discord, I said, hey, man, I'm going to talk to Shea. And I said, I have to address what you said about misinformation. And we had a little conversation about it. And we're still buddies at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing that our most recent controversy, I guess, is, like I said earlier, we were on Radrey's show, and Radrey was on our show, which I guess that wasn't a big deal. But the point is, he interviewed myself and Nick on his show. And then he went out and he tried to talk to two people. He tried to talk to Totally Drew.
Yeah.
And he tried to talk to a woman named, or her JVlog name is Oriental Pearl.
Okay.
So Drew joined our Discord for some reason, saw Radrey was in it, and then he treated Radrey like he was some sort of a hater. Like they had a set date they were going to get together, and he canceled on him. He said, "You're a hater. I'm never going to go on your show." And so, like, Radrey's podcast is like his side hustle, right? It's like his business.
Right.
So because he spoke with us and he continues to speak with us, Drew was like, "Nope, that's it. You're a hater. You're awful. I'm not gonna do your podcast." So Radrey missed like a quote unquote business opportunity,
right,
because of that. And I'm not in control of that situation.
Yeah,
I would correct it if I was, but I can't tell Drew, "Hey man, Radrey is an okay dude, and I'm not gonna be, secretly waiting to zing you or anything like that." Right. But yeah, Drew, if you're listening now, Radrey's an okay guy. You should go on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
But there's also another aspect to this.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
So sorry, I know I'm a little long-winded here. So Oriental Pearl, we had decided, we decided who our nominees are going to be, like 2 or 3 episodes in advance.
Right.
So she was up. So we did a podcast on her. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to us, Radrey is scheduling a podcast with her, an interview with her.
I see.
So anyway, our episode drops, and Pearl gets all upset. So she cancels on Radrey. So now there's 2 folks that canceled on him. So now because he interviewed the 2 of us for like an hour,
right?
Like he's now lost out on 2 podcasts. So I feel bad, but at the same, I'm not in control of that situation. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And Radrey is a good dude. He wants to talk about people's creative methods and all that stuff. And you should go on. People should go on his podcast. There's nothing. He's not one of the co-hosts of the show.
It's like shooting the messenger in a way.
Well,
maybe
it's
that's
like,
not. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you talked to, you saw a video of Gavin McInnes. Oh, you're a Proud Boy. You're automatically canceled. It's like, well, no, I just saw a YouTube video, or I just talked to some guy once, or hey, we used to work at the same company. It's like, no, you're canceled forever.
Well, it's like, what happened to people interviewing people? I mean, Larry King would interview people from all across the board, or like the best interviewers they didn't judge who they interviewed, and you couldn't judge them for talking to people that maybe you didn't agree with. And I think, but obviously it's their choice not to go on a certain show, but I think in both of those cases, just because someone talks to people that you don't like doesn't mean they're associated with them. Like, he just wanted to talk to you guys because he found your content interesting and wanted to talk to you guys, right? He also found Totally Drew and Oriental Pearl interesting as well. That's why he wanted to talk to them. That doesn't mean, he supports everything that you say or anything that I say. I think a lot of people just maybe have too thin of skin, or they're just. But
this goes back to what I said at the very beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
Oriental Pearl. I don't know what her real name is.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's Pearl. I don't know. Drew. I do know what his real name is, but let's call him Drew.
Yeah.
They are their persona. So when you criticize the content, well, no, it's a direct attack on me. And they both had very visceral, emotional, not logical, emotional reactions to us. Okay? I mean, Pearl, granted, rough around the edges, guys drinking strongs. Essentially, what her whole shtick is she goes to Chinatown and then pretends to be a silly foreigner and then hits people with the By the way, I speak fluent Chinese. Ha! You didn't expect a blonde-haired white girl to do that, did you? Ha ha ha!
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So like we nicknamed her Oriental Prank Bro. And but the thing is, like, and you know, like, yeah, we're telling jokes and stuff, but the real criticism is, we said, you know, what you're doing is not polite, in the most blasé way you can say it. Okay, she walked into a place of business. There was an employee there, and like I really feel for this lady. I have no idea who she is, but you know, obviously she's like a Chinese immigrant living in Yokohama, you know, in Chinatown down there. And this blonde-haired white girl comes up with a cameraman. Okay, somebody else is there. And you can kind of see the look on her face, like, what the hell's going on? Because she looks at Pearl, she looks directly at the cameraman, and then back at Pearl. Now she's at work. Okay, this is her job. Okay, and it was like a little knick-knack shop, like you get like chopsticks or little plates or whatever for tourists. And you know, like, she can't say, "Hey, man, get the fuck out of here." She can't say it. I don't know if I could swear on your podcast. I've done it.
Hey, I've already said a few fucks here or there, so go ahead.
Okay, so but like if it was me, like out in the street, I'd be like, "Fuck off with the camera, get out of my face," right? Yeah. But she's at work, she can't do that, right? There's an employment thing there that she can't like tell people to get lost, right? So, and then they do the whole prank bro thing, and you know, we criticized. We said, you know, like, you kind of jumped this lady while she was at work on camera, and you know that, like, at very least, not polite. That was an impolite thing to do to this woman. And then, like, if you actually really look into it, if you you know, if you record like Shibuya Crossing, you know, no one person is the subject of that shot, of that camera angle. And Japanese law is kind of interesting about this. The moment like you're focusing on a single person, again, the recording is not illegal, but then the focus on a single subject or group of subjects, it becomes illegal to upload it without their consent. And so that's what we said. Now, are we going to call the police? No, of course not. Is anything going to happen? I mean, is this lady going to be so offended that she gets a lawyer and all that? No, of course not. Of course not. Of course. I mean, but we just pointed out, Pearl, that was not polite. And if you really want to get technical about it, what you did, you know, is prohibited. Within, like, it was like almost like a lightning strike after we released that episode. Her response to us was, I have no fucking respect for you. Do you think this is North Korea? And I have a vendetta against you. I mean, and these are quotes from, she left me like 6 minutes worth of voicemails on our Instagram.
Jesus.
So obviously it was an emotional response.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah. And, you know, and so I came up with an analogy that I would like to share.
Okay.
But just this week, Drew, who canceled on Radrey, was recording, and a woman got pissed off that he was recording her. And as he ended his live stream, she was waving a no photography picture at him. And of course, he edited out. He was like, "Oh, well, that lady was mean to me. She gave me the finger." But again, like, you're doing something you're not supposed to do.
Right.
And the funny thing is, Pearl was also on Sam's video saying, "Oh, well, people just hate you, and that's why they say it's illegal to film." So she used the straw man argument. We never said it was illegal to film. Specifically, what you did could be considered that. But you know, the analogy I thought about was like, Shea, let's say you and I are driving in a car, right? I'm driving.
Okay.
Posted speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour. All right. You notice I'm going 75 kilometers an hour, right? Going a little fast. And you say, "Hey, Jay of the King of Kanto podcast, the posted speed limit's 50, and I see that you're traveling at 75. Okay. And so we're both in the car with each other, right? And you say this to me. And my response to you is, I have no fucking respect for you. Do you think this is North Korea? I now have a vendetta against you, right? Like, you're just pointing out that, like, I'm not doing something totally correct. And then weeks later, I'm still so butthurt about it
You
I
cancel
say,
someone else's. Yeah.
well, I go, man, that Shea, he just hates me. He told me driving was illegal.
Yeah.
Like that's not. I mean, that's exactly what Pearl did in a way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not what we said, and it's not what we meant, and so the truth is, like, we made a claim
Yeah.
based upon the facts of the evidence that
Mm.
we scrounged up, and she can't refute that. So she just says that we're haters and all that.
Well,
So
and keep in mind, anyone can go and listen to these episodes, right? To
they
hear
are
straight.
available on your favorite podcasting app.
Exactly. So they can go and hear straight from the horse's mouth, right? All three of you.
Yeah, all three horses, all three mouths.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Exactly what you're saying. So there's no, I mean, they can hear what she heard, right? So um, that's it's out there. So just in case
Yeah.
anyone is like, well, he's just saying that to defend himself. Well, no, like it's out there. It's public. You can find it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, like, we made our criticisms. And that wasn't the only criticism we made, but like that's the one that really got her goat.
yeah.
So, and listen, like, Pearl, if you're out there listening, you're more than welcome to send in an audio clip. I mean, you already did in a way, but if you want to, correct the record, I will play it without edit. And if you want to call in some night, we'll have you call in. It's up there. The ball's in your court. Like, I made we did our part. If you want to do your part, you can.
Yeah.
And but to be honest, and I tell people this all the time, the best thing to do is pretend we don't exist. If you don't want any drama about this, sending me those Instagram voicemails, wrong move, because they're going on the show the next week.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the people who are smart, like we just did Tokyo Lens, and he could have said something. He could have done it, but the thing is, he's at that level now. I think he just hit 200,000 subscribers or whatever. He's smart enough to know that, like, the moment I give these guys any ground to run on, they're going to run on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's part of being a critic. If you just ignore us, the Tokyo Lens episode will always be there, but there's not going to be any more controversy surrounding it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be in the catalog.
Yeah. Yeah. If
Even though I tell people this, they still don't heed my advice, and I'm telling you how to counter what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so far, has he said anything? I mean, or is he just ignored it?
No, he's a smart guy, and like he'll ignore it. He's ignored us, and he'll ignore it. And like, we put up our thumbnails, which are expertly done by Nick. He has a really great talent for the thumbnails. I think we always have really good thumbnails.
I like the
put
faces.
it up on Instagram.
The faces that people make in the thumbnails are classic.
Yeah, those come from their Twitter and their Instagram.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I upload the thumbnail when the new episode comes out, and I tagged Tokyo Lens in it, and the only thing he did was he untagged himself. That's it.
Okay.
So, like, that's the only response we've gotten from him, and that's fine. Whatever.
Fair enough. It seems like he handled it just fine. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's that's the way it should be done.
Right.
But some people can't do it.
Well, cool, man. So another question is, you guys drink a lot of strongs.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite strong to date?
Okay, I'm going to try to say it in Japanese. My Japanese is not as good as the other guys.
Okay.
But the Shiakwasa,
Ooh, yeah. That's,
Okinawan line, that's my absolute favorite.
that is a good
hands
one.
down.
That is a good one. What are your thoughts on, like, these kind of seasonal flavors that kind of float through every once in, every, I guess, season, really,
Yeah, Sakura flavored stuff I'm not a fan of. There's a Sakura beer that's coming out that I'm not big on. I'm not big on it.
Right.
Yeah, for the seasonal stuff, usually I'll try it. I mean, when we do the show, like, I'll usually grab a Shiakwasa, and then I'll try, like, one of the other strongs. Like, the other one I like is there's tropical fruits. That was not so good, but there's a plum
Oh, are you
Not
thinking?
not umeboshi, but it's like some sort of plum one that I really like.
Okay, it's not the ume otoko strong, is it? Like a
It
red
might be. It
red can?
might be. It's all in kanji, so I
Yeah.
can't read kanji that
Those
well. So
those are good if that's the one you're referring to.
yeah,
The
but I
regular,
don't.
yeah,
I don't know if that's seasonal though. That might be
it's
a
not.
staple.
You can
Oh,
find
okay.
that it's hard. You can find the 5%ers at the convenience stores, but I've only been able to find 9% at
Oh, bro, I only go 9%. 9%
yeah,
tall boys every
right,
time.
right. You can only find the nine. As far as I know, you can only find the 9% red cans at like Yamaya or some like liquor store, right? As opposed to the convenience
Yeah, there's
stores.
a store near me that carries them
Mm, mm.
most of the time. So
If it's in a red can, then yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. And you're right; those are quite tasty.
those are pretty good. Yeah,
Hmm,
but
hmm.
yeah, usually like I'm in I do 2 months a year no drinking.
Yeah.
So I'm smack dab in the middle of that. But
Oh yeah.
um,
I'm so, coincidentally I am too. This month
oh, okay,
is
so
dry for me.
so we're
Yeah.
totally sober. Oh man, this is gonna be
Yeah.
the most boring podcast ever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, usually I do two tall boy strongs,
Hmm.
and then I'll do I'll try to get some sort of interesting beer to mellow out with
Right.
afterwards.
Right.
But
Hmm.
yeah, because if I do three strongs, like I'm just incoherent by the end of the
Oh
episode.
God. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
They're strong for a reason. So they're. I think who was it that was saying that there's like they have different there's some chuhais out there. I think they're lemon flavored, but they go from like 3%, 5%, 7, 9, and they might even have a 12. And it's depending on how hard your day
Ah,
is the one that's the one that you grab. You know.
I think I saw like there was like a mega lemon chew high that was like 12%.
Yeah.
I saw it in a family mart on the other side of town from where I live,
Mm.
and I never saw it again. And I didn't buy it at that time because I was like, I was already drinking. I was like, damn, 12%. Let's pass on that for now.
Yeah. You
But
only
then
need
I
one. Yeah.
remembered it and I can't find it now.
No, I haven't seen them recently, but they were at Family Marts around here as well.
Yeah.
It was just lemon flavor. There wasn't another one as far as I know. But yeah, that you only needed one of the tall ones, and I think you were pretty much set after that. So it was
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
When I first came here and I didn't have like a group of friends yet. I would grab two tall boys, 9%, and that was a good Friday night. You just,
hmm
quick. Like, I mean, what are they like $1.50? I mean, no,
yeah,
158 yen a piece.
they're
So for
cheap.
like less
Yeah,
than 500 yen, you're like trashed and playing video games, having a good time.
yeah,
Yeah, good old days. Good old days.
yeah. All right, Jay. Well, I appreciate you coming on, setting the record straight. I wanted to hear the story as well from you. So thank you for clearing everything up, and it seems like you guys have a good thing going though. You know.
Yeah, we have fun,
Mm,
and like I said, we we're a countermeasure to misinformation that does get out about Japan. We want to present people a real picture before they decide to uproot their lives and come here.
yeah.
Um, we're not haters. I think we do provide a service, and while maybe our language is a little coarse, we do back up what we say with evidence. So,
Right.
um, if you don't mind, can I give a plug?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us where we can find you on the internet, where your podcast is available, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a website, kingofkanto.com. You can see all the latest episodes there. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and all your favorite podcasting apps. On Twitter, we are King of Kanto Pod 1, so you can tweet at us. Our Instagram is King of Kanto Podcast. And if you feel so inclined to send us an email, it's kingofkantopodcast@gmail.com. We read everything. We may not respond, but we read everything. And if you have constructive criticism, send it our way, man. We actually do discuss those. We want to make the show better and more entertaining for everybody. So, yeah, we welcome all challengers, basically.
Okay. Well, Jay, thank you again for coming on, and let's speak soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Shay.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.
Yep. Have a good one.